All right, so we're back for another deep dive. And today we're tackling something truly epic, the origins of the Trojan War.
A story that's captivated people for literally thousands of years.
Yeah, and we're basing this deep dive on a fascinating documentary I caught on RTE.tv called I Grandi Miti l'Iliade. Really digs into the myths behind the Iliad.
A fantastic source and a great jumping off point.
Definitely. And I know a lot of you out there are curious about this story, but maybe you feel like it's a bit daunting. Like, where do you even begin?
There's so many characters,
How about-
so many twists and turns.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really break down the core of the myth. Like, why did this whole thing even start? What were the real driving forces behind it? And we're going to do it without getting bogged down in all the, endless genealogies and side plots.
We're going to cut straight to the heart of what makes this story so compelling and so enduring.
Right to the good stuff. So even if you're not a classic scholar, you can walk away from this deep dive with a solid understanding of why the Trojan War is such a foundational myth.
Absolutely. And the documentary really brings that home right from the start by showcasing just how massive this whole undertaking was.
It's not just a few guys squabbling over a stolen girlfriend. This is a full-blown international conflict.
I mean, imagine it. A massive fleet of ships stretching as far as the eye can see, carrying a formidable army filled with some of the most legendary figures in Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the all-stars here. Achilles, the ultimate warrior. Practically invincible,
I know.
right? Then you've got Ulysses, the cunning strategist, always thinking 10 steps ahead.
And let's not forget the powerful brother kings, Agamemnon and Menelaus, leading the charge against Troy.
And of course, the wise old Nestor, whose advice was worth its weight in gold. Imagine these guys all sailing towards the high walls of Troy, this incredible city ruled by King Priam.
Defended by his equally legendary sons, Hector and Paris.
And it's really important to keep in mind that all this power, all this potential for destruction, it all hinges on the actions of one man, Paris.
He's the spark that sets this whole conflagration in motion.
So let's dig into that spark. The documentary opens with Zeus, the king of the gods, looking pretty darn concerned.
As well he should be.
Right.
Right. The guy's responsible for maintaining order in the cosmos. And here's this massive conflict brewing.
Exactly. He's not happy. And remember, this is the same Zeus who defeated the Titans, who put down rebellions in the heavens. So when he demands to know what's causing this trouble, everyone listens.
And we get this fascinating glimpse into the inner workings of the Olympian Council. Where all the major gods and goddesses hang out.
It's like the ultimate VIP lounge.
Exactly. You've got Poseidon, god of the sea, Hades, god of the underworld,
Apollo, god of music and prophecy, Athena, goddess of wisdom and warfare,
Ares, god of war, Hermes, the messenger god,
and of course, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty.
all gathered together. And it's not exactly a harmonious gathering.
No, there's definitely tension in the air, right? Like everyone is sizing each other up.
These are powerful deities with their own agendas, their own rivalries.
Yeah, and they all owe allegiance to Zeus. But there's definitely some resentment simmering beneath the surface.
Some of them probably haven't forgotten that Zeus overthrew his own father to become king.
So in this charged atmosphere, Hera, Zeus's wife, steps forward, and she doesn't hold back,
She immediately points the finger at Aphrodite,
blaming her for the whole mess.
and she gets some backup from the other goddesses. It seems like Aphrodite isn't exactly the most popular deity on Olympus.
Which kind of makes sense, right? She's
Yeah.
the goddess of beauty and love,
It's bound to create some jealousy.
especially among the other goddesses, who maybe aren't quite as confident in their own charms.
But it goes deeper than just petty jealousy.
Yeah, there's some real history there.
The documentary reminds us of Aphrodite's scandalous affair with Ares.
Oh yeah, that caused a huge uproar.
Aphrodite's husband Hephaestus was so humiliated that he trapped the two lovers in a golden net for all the gods to see.
Talk about embarrassing.
As a result, Aphrodite was banished from Olympus for a time,
So you can see why she might hold a grudge.
and why the other gods might be a little wary of her.
So we've got this backdrop of divine drama, and then we cut to Paris, the Prince of Troy, who's living as a shepherd on Mount Ida.
He's out tending his flocks when suddenly 3 incredibly beautiful women appear before him.
Talk about a shock.
He's completely bewildered. I mean, these women are radiating an almost supernatural beauty.
And he has no idea who they are. Of course, we, the audience, know that these are Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite.
And their appearance is no accident.
This whole thing stems from a bit of a kerfuffle on Mount Olympus. Eris, the goddess of discord, shows up uninvited to a divine banquet.
Always a bad sign.
And just to stir things up, She throws a golden apple into the crowd, inscribed with the words, "For the fairest."
Talk about a party foul.
Right. You know it's going to cause trouble. And of course, all eyes turn to Aphrodite.
I mean, her beauty was legendary.
But Hera and Athena are not about to back down. They're both incredibly powerful goddesses in their own right.
And they're convinced that they deserve the apple.
So you've got this three-way standoff, and Zeus wants absolutely no part of it.
He knows that choosing one goddess over the others is going to lead to trouble.
So he comes up with a brilliant solution. Pass the buck.
He decides that a mortal should judge the beauty contest, someone completely impartial.
And who gets the dubious honor of making this impossible decision?
Poor Paris.
The shepherd prince who's just trying to mind his own business.
So here he is, faced with these three stunning goddesses, and each one offers him a bribe.
Yeah, they're not exactly subtle about it.
Hera promises him power, absolute dominion over a vast kingdom.
Athena offers him glory, invincibility in battle, and eternal fame as a hero.
And Aphrodite, well, she plays to Paris's more, shall we say, romantic side.
She promises him the most beautiful woman in the world as his wife.
And throws in a magical girdle for good measure.
A girdle that makes the wearer irresistible. Talk about a tempting offer.
So faced with these choices, Paris doesn't hesitate. He chooses Aphrodite.
He's young, he's impressionable, and let's be honest, who wouldn't be tempted by the promise of true love and incredible beauty?
Especially when it comes with a magical accessory.
So Aphrodite is thrilled. Hera and Athena, not so much.
And this is where the seeds of the Trojan War are truly sown.
Because you see, the most beautiful woman in the world is already married.
Her name is Helen, and she's the wife of King Menelaus of Sparta.
Now, Paris eventually returns to Troy, and his father, King Priam, decides to send him on a diplomatic mission to Sparta.
Little does he know that he's sending his son straight into the lion's den.
Paris arrives in Sparta, and as was the custom, he's received with great hospitality by Menelaus.
But Menelaus has no idea who he's dealing with,
Right.
or what Aphrodite has planned.
And of course, Paris meets Helen, and she is every bit as beautiful as Aphrodite promised.
And remember, Helen had been sought after by all the most powerful princes in Greece.
Her father, Tyndareus, made all of her suitors swear an oath to protect Helen and her chosen husband.
Which turned out to be Menelaus.
So you've got this ticking time bomb in the background.
And then Menelaus makes a fatal mistake. He has to leave Sparta for a few days.
Leaving Paris and Helen alone together?
With Aphrodite's enchantment working its magic.
And it doesn't take long for Paris to convince Helen to run away with him.
To abandon her husband and her kingdom and sail to Troy.
They're both completely swept up in this passionate love affair, oblivious to the consequences.
And when Menelaus returns home and finds his wife gone,
He's furious.
this isn't just a personal betrayal, it's a huge insult to his honor.
And a violation of the sacred laws of hospitality.
So Menelaus sets off to Mycenae to seek the help of his brother Agamemnon.
Who is the most powerful king in Greece?
Agamemnon commands the allegiance of almost all the Greek city-states.
Except for one. But we'll get to that later.
So Menelaus pleads with his brother to help him get revenge.
To assemble a massive army and sail to Troy to bring Helen back.
Now Agamemnon is sympathetic to his brother's plight.
But he's also a shrewd politician.
He knows that attacking Troy is going to be a risky proposition.
Troy is incredibly wealthy. It controls the trade routes to the east,
And its walls are said to be impenetrable.
built by the gods themselves.
So Agamemnon hesitates. He doesn't want to rush into a war that could cost countless lives.
His first instinct is to try a diplomatic solution.
Send an envoy to Troy to demand Helen's return.
But behind the scenes, Hera and Athena are working their magic,
They're still furious about losing the golden apple,
and they're determined to see Troy destroyed,
so they whisper in Agamemnon's ear, playing on his ambition.
convincing him that conquering Troy would be the ultimate victory.
And they manage to persuade the other Olympian gods to support their cause.
So now you've got the full weight of the divine pantheon behind this war.
And what started as a personal grievance between Menelaus and Paris,
Has been transformed into a massive international conflict.
a clash of civilizations.
And all because a few goddesses couldn't let go of their pride.
It really makes you think about the forces that drive human events.
Are we truly masters of our own destiny? Or are we just pawns in a larger game?
A game played by gods and goddesses with their own agendas.
And what about the apples of discord in our own world? The seemingly small events that can spiral out of control?
Leading to conflict and suffering.
And are there unseen forces at work, influencing our decisions, pushing us towards war?
It's something to ponder.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the origins of the Trojan War. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.